Biologique, il y a plus que les tempêtes organisées par les champs électromagnétiques. Il y a également la pollution que nous mettrons dans le sang et dans les veines de l'humanité en créant des infections. Et ensuite de ça, ayant créé ces infections volontairement, on créera des lois qui obligera la population à se faire donner des vaccins. Et dans ces vaccins, il y aura tout ce qu'il faut pour que vous puissiez être contrôlés. On introduira dans ces vaccins des cristaux liquides. Ces cristaux se logeront dans les cellules de votre cerveau et ils deviendront des micro-récepteurs à des champs électromagnétiques envoyés par des ondes ultrasoniques à très très basse fréquence. Et avec ces ondes à très basse fréquence, on pourra vous empêcher de penser. On pourra faire de vous des zombies. Et n'allez pas croire que je suis au stage où je pense, ou que c'est l'hypothèse. Ce que je vous compte, c'est fait. Souvenez-vous du Rwanda.
Did you know that in 1994, an entire nation turned into a horror movie where neighbors became killers overnight? Picture this. You wake up one morning in Rwanda. The radio crackles to life with a chilling message. Kill your Tutsi neighbors, kill your co-workers, kill your friends, even kill your own spouse if they're Tutsi. And people listened. For 100 days, ordinary citizens picked up machetes and clubs. They hunted down people they'd known for years. Teachers murdered their students. Husbands killed their wives. Children turned on their parents. Churches became slaughterhouses. Thousands ran there seeking safety from God. Instead, they found grenades and machetes waiting. Even some priests joined the killing. The horror was so complete that rivers clogged with bodies. 1 million people died in just 3 months. The fastest genocide in history. International peacekeepers watched it happen. They had orders not to intervene. The most terrifying part? These weren't monsters. They were ordinary people who became killers because a radio told them to. Evil doesn't need fangs or claws. Sometimes it just needs a voice whispering in your ear.
Whichever you are Hutu, stand up. The Hutus stood up, and then the men asked the rest of us if we had any money or valuables that we could give them. When we gave them the money, that's when they started cutting us with machetes. I was just over there near that door, and that man Wimana came and said, "Ah, there you are. I wondered where you were hiding, so now I found you." My eldest son stood up and said, "I'm sorry, please forgive me. I will not be a Tutsi anymore." But Wimana cut his throat, like this, and threw his body over my lap. I was holding another child on this side, and another baby here, like this, and he cut my arm so that it dropped. And then he brought down his sword on my baby's head. And then he took the other child and killed him with a sword. And then he went on to kill my mother-in-law, who was sitting next to me. Then he started killing old people who were sitting on the bed. Then other killers came in, working furiously. People were being hacked in this room. And then in the next room, the screaming was terrible. They took their time. It was a serious thing because there were so many people in these two buildings. About 520 in all.
Look, I don't know the best way to do this, but I've been working erecting 5G masts on towers like the one behind me for the past few weeks while everybody else has been in lockdown. And we don't crack open these kits because we're explicitly asked not to. But well, perhaps the best thing is for me to show you. It's best if I just show you, look.
Look at that. So they tell them not to open up the kits, right? But this technician, he opened up the kit that has the electric circuit board that is going to be emitting the signal. And look at what it says right there. Why Would an electric circuit board being installed in a 5G network antenna say COV19, which stands for COVID-19? Why? Why would it say that? I'm going to play a little bit and then run it back.
Look, I don't know the best way to do this, but I've been working erecting 5G masts on towers like the one behind me for the past few weeks while everybody else has been in lockdown. And we don't crack open these kits because we're explicitly asked not to, but well, perhaps the best thing is for me to show you. It's best if I just show you, look.
Look at that. You see that? You see that right there? You can't make this stuff up. Is it possible that people were feeling sick, people were getting headache, people were getting flu-like symptoms because they cranked up the towers, and then the media comes and says, there's a strand, it's contagious, is a virus, there's a COVID-19, when what it really is the emissions of these radio frequencies. People are getting zapped. People are getting these emissions. Is that possible? Why would they put COV19 on this? Why? And I thank God that this technician opened it up to see and to show the world what it is that is there. As I believe that most of the time when we get this information is for us to know it's part of the plan. So the Most High revealing what's really behind the smoke and mirrors, so that we see, so that we're not ignorant, so that we can do something about this. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Glory be to Christ Jesus. You see this? These towers are more dangerous than what we think. These towers are the problem. And sadly, for those who took the mark, very, very sad, because they're going to be the ones that are most affected, the most affected. Now, I wanted to mention something else, right? That this happens in the radio world, in the frequency world, with everything that receives a signal. Once something is emitting a signal, like a tower, in order for that signal to travel far, they need something else. And usually that's called a repeater, to repeat that signal, to give it like a little boost to go forward, right? It's called a repeater. Just to give you an example, police departments have radios and their officers communicate via radios, and they do a very good job, an efficient job communicating, because if an officer needs help, they're listening to the radio and they know the location where the other officer is to go and assist. But that officer could be a great distance from that officer that needs help. So the way that radio works is that there's a repeater somewhere in the lay of the land, geographically. The signal sent and received is being repeated by this repeater. So now I wanted to show you another video so that you can see, because this is what I'm going to show you is a repeater. Let me show you.
This is an LED streetlight. Let's see what's inside. Uh-oh. Apparently, this is an LED 5G streetlight. It's pretty neat.
You see that?
This is an LED streetlight. Let's see what's inside. Uh-oh. Apparently, this is an LED 5G streetlight. It's pretty neat.
So that's an LED 5G. That's a street light. which has another function. And the second function, according to the evil ones, is the most important function because it's a 5G repeater. So the tower sends out the signal, and this street light boosts that signal and continues to move that signal forward. Why else would a street light say 5G on it? Think about that. Why else would a street light say 5G on it? You see? This is very sad, dear brother and sister. Now, I want to direct your attention to something that happened in Rwanda in 1994. And I encourage you to look into this matter if you have time. In 1994, there was a genocide. One tribe killed another tribe. There were two tribes. There was the Tutsi and the Hutu tribe. And from my understanding, the Hutu tribe killed the Tutsi tribe, which we're talking about approximately 700,000 people slaughtered, approximately, more or less, give or take, 700,000 people. And this happened in Rwanda, and it is referred to as the Rwanda massacre. Now, brother and sister, this information that I'm going to give you, if you look it up on Google per se, Rwanda massacre, you'll find the information. But you're not going to find what I'm going to tell you right now. That you're not going to find. And the video that I'm going to show you, you're not going to find anywhere. And so I give glory to Jesus Christ for these things. Hear me and hear me well. What happened in Rwanda before the massacre? Do you know what happened? Vaccinations happened and setting up of towers to emit a signal. And then what happened? Then the massacre happened. And I want to show you a video from 1995 from Dr. Pierre. It is in French and there are some subtitles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and read the subtitles because they may not be clear, but they're clear on my end. This way you'll see what he's saying in French. And he said this in 1995. Let me get that video. All right, this is Dr. Pierre Gilbert, 1995. And it is my thoughts and from what I've heard that he became a Christian and he served the Lord. And he started teaching basically the history of the Bible. So glory be to Christ for that. And if you speak French, this would be amazing because you can actually understand what he's saying. So I'm going to start by reading the subtitles of what he's going to say. This way we get a head start. He's saying, and again, this is in 1995. He says, in the biological destruction, there are the organized, let's see, what to say there, temperances on the magnetic fields. All right, we'll play the video.
Biologique, il y a plus que les tempêtes organisées par les champs électromagnétiques, il y a également.
Then he says, what will follow is the contamination. Listen to this. What will follow is the contamination of the bloodstream of mankind.
La pollution que nous mettrons dans le sang et dans les veines de l'humanité en créant des infections et ensuite
creating intentional infections. You hear this? Creating intentional infections.
Ayant créé ces infections volontairement, on créera des lois qui obligera la population.
This will be enforced through laws that they will make vaccination mandatory. Do you hear this? This will be enforced by laws that will make vaccination mandatories. Again, this is in 1995.
À se faire donner des vaccins, et dans ces vaccins,
and these vaccines will make possible the control of people. You hear this? I'm reading the subtitle right there. Look. And these vaccines will make possible the control of people.
Il y aura tout ce qu'il faut pour que vous puissiez être contrôlé. On introduira dans ces
The vaccines will be liquid crystals. Hold on, let me go back so I can see.
Puissiez être contrôlé. On introduira
The vaccines will be liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells. The vaccines will be liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells.
Dans ces vaccins des cristaux liquides. Ces cristaux se logeront dans les cellules de votre cerveau et ils deviendront
which will become micro receivers at the electromagnetic fields. Which will become electro-receivers at the electromagnetic fields.
Des micro-récepteurs à des champs électromagnétiques envoyés par des ondes ultrasoniques très
where waves are very, very low frequencies will be sent. My goodness.
basse fréquence et avec ces ondes.
And through the low frequency waves, people will be unable to think. And through the low frequency waves, people will be unable to think.
À très basse fréquence, on pourra vous empêcher de penser. On pourra faire de vous des...
You will be turned into a zombie. You hear this? You will be turned into a zombie.
Zombie. Et n'allez pas croire que je suis au stage où je pense.
Don't think of this as a hypothesis. This has been done. He's like, don't think about this as a hypothesis. It's something that's like a scientific theory that has not been done yet. He says this has been done.
L'hypothèse, ce que je vous compte, c'est fait. Souvenez-vous du Rwanda.
Then he says, think of Rwanda. You hear this? The last thing he said is, think of Rwanda. You see, brother and sister? He said a vaccine will be introduced and injected that will cause an infection. And this infection will later on be controlled, and the person will be controlled. They won't be able to have control over their senses. This is what he's saying, and it's a liquid crystal that's injected with nanoparticles. Wherever there's a magnetic field that the signal is sent, the person will become like a zombie. He said this in 1995. And he said, don't think that this is a hypothesis. This has already happened. Think Rwanda. Rwanda in 1994, the Hutu tribe killed the Tutsis. They were vaccinated. And there was frequencies that were emitted. And this doctor here says, think Rwanda. And lo and behold, what happened in 2020, 2019 to 2020, what happened? What was given to people? Remember, what is the temple? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost? What happened to these people's temples? It got corrupted. How? How did it get corrupted? By a vaccine and a signal. A signal. The scriptures are very clear in the book of Ephesians chapter 2. They call the enemy, the word of God calls the enemy the prince of the power of the air. The prince of those that are the children of disobedience. The prince of the power of the air. Wait a minute. Power of the air? think about it. The signals that these things receive, how does it travel? It travels through the air. The prince of the power of the air, and these signals are demonic. They are demonic frequencies coming from the devil himself. You see? This was in 1995. And look at what just happened now, a couple of years ago. All linked to these towers. I thank you, brother and sister, for bearing with me thus far in the video. Glory be to Christ. There's just a few more points to drive across, as this is saddening news, and I hope that you're not offended. But some people here, even listening to this video, watching these videos, have either had zombie dreams themselves, where they see people turn into zombies, or they have heard of someone who has had the zombie dreams. And here's a doctor saying it in our natural earth, saying, listen, they're going to become zombies. These signals that are emitted, or as they say, the activation. These towers are military weapons. That's what they are. That's the reality of it. They're a military weapon. I wanted to show you a patent and read the patent to you. And I will give you the patent number so that you can look it up yourself. Because what happens is that when something hits the market, when something comes out, it's registered. And it's registered so that no one else can claim rights over it. So that that person has the maximum authority over that idea. So let me read this patent to you, that it may be a blessing to you. Right. So here goes the patent. It's registered in the United States, right? And look at this. Look at who the applicant is, right? It's the Rockefeller University. If you know anything of the Rockefellers, then you have an idea. You see this? Wow, look at this. Permit in nanoparticle composition and methods to modulate cell activity. Look at this. This is the patent number right here. 10786-590B2. Registered September 29, 2020. This way, if you want to look it up, you can look it up. And look at what it says here. Let me see if I can turn this sideways so I can read it better. All right. That way the letters are bigger. There we go. Look at this. The present invention provides methods and compositions for the remote control of cell functions based on the use of radio frequency waves to excite nanoparticles targeted to specific cell types. The nanoparticles may be applied to the target cell extracellularly and or expressed intracellularly. Wow. So what is this talking about? This is talking about controlling cells in the human body, remote control with radio frequencies. That's what this is talking about. With nanoparticles. Have nanoparticles been introduced into the human body? Do you think that before something is registered, like a patent, do they do experiments? Do they try it first before they even register it? Is it out in the market already? And then look, they have a picture. The radio waves hitting the skin. Look at this. You know, in the book of Enoch, the fallen angels taught humanity great wickedness. There was a certain angel that taught men how to make swords, breastplate, and all these things. Think about it. What was the objective of teaching men how to make swords? Why teach a man? What does a man do with a sword? Generally, a sword the word sword is a weapon of war, and usually is used to kill someone, to kill another man. Why would fallen angels be showing these things to humans? It's for the destruction of humanity. You see, because they're jealous that God, the Almighty, loves us. He sent his son for us, and we are redeemable. And so at the end of the day, they will love nothing more than to destroy us. And it seems on the surface, sharing information and technological advances, but they don't show the bad side, the consequences, and what's really going on. You see, this whole situation is an offense to the Most High. A human being talking about controlling cells? The book of Genesis said that God created the vegetation, God created Adam, the animals, and he saw that it was good. He saw that his creation, the work of his hands, was good. The work of his hands does not need any help to enhance or to make better. Anything we try to make better, we're actually making it worse. Listening to fallen angels, God forbid. But look at what's really happening. Look at what's really happening. Look at this pattern right here. And just like this one, there's plenty of others with even more grievous situations going on with humanity that they have invented. All of this, these radio frequencies, where do you think these radio frequencies in this pattern, where do you think these radio frequencies are coming from? They're coming from the cell towers that we're talking about. That's where they're coming from. My goodness.
There's been more machete violence in Melbourne, with 2 people rushed to hospital after an attack in Queen Street. The horror comes just days after a Good Samaritan was murdered trying to save a boy from a machete-wielding gang.
Another blood-soaked crime scene, another machete seized. 2 people in hospital after the early morning attack on Queen Street. Tonight, the suspect is behind bars. This just 2 days after Aidan Becker was murdered in a Mernda machete attack. Hubert Solar worked security with the 22-year-old.
Aidan's supposed to be at work tomorrow. Supposed to start work at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and this is happening like.
A young Melbourne family has been left traumatised after they were targeted by a gang of teenagers wielding machetes who tried to smash their way into their home in the city's north. The 43-year-old father says he tried to barricade himself, his wife and 3 young children inside as the armed thugs demanded his car keys on Sunday morning.
Went inside and we tried to hold the door back. They tried to break in again, like a couple of times, kicked, and then they just ran away. It felt to me like it was just a fun thing for them.
The group remains on the run.
This dad was stabbed to death by a machete-wielding gang as he protected his son from his former friends. The pair were rammed outside a KFC drive-thru and had to run away on foot. Kelvin Ward died from a stab wound to the heart, and these 3 were found guilty of killing him. This dad was stabbed.
A shocking machete attack on a Croydon grandfather. The 64-year-old requires multiple operations after he was slashed across his arms and face. It's at least the 3rd serious knife attack in Melbourne in 4 days.
A grandfather of 6 beaten and slashed with machetes after confronting a group of teenage thugs.
He's in so much pain, but he's a very brave man.
Monday night, they pelted his home with rocks after he caught them loitering around his neighbour's car. His partner called police, but the force was stretched to the limit.
He said they have no one in the unit, so they can't send anyone. And my partner said, so what I do if they come back?
4 hours later, they did. This time, the 64-year-old chased them in his ute, but when he confronted them with words, they answered with machetes.
Cut his arm, fractured through the bone, and his fingers just left us shaken, you know.
He drove to the hospital, his vehicle soaked in blood, requiring numerous operations to his face and arms. It's the 3rd gruesome machete attack in 4 days after a man and woman were slashed in the city Monday morning, and 22-year-old Aidan Becker was killed while defending a teenager at Mernda on Friday.
We've got to the point where it's just becoming commonplace, and we read about it so often that, you know, I worry that it's becoming an accepted part of our community.
Despite the attack happening less than 100 metres from the Mooralbark police station, no officer was available to attend. The station is only staffed 3 days a week during office hours.
How much pressure you can put on one police station to look after 5-10 suburbs?
A thinning blue line struggling to combat Melbourne's machete epidemic.
Every other day that there's another attack and someone's injured.
Sort of just leaving her house and getting attacked for not really any reason. It's confronting.
Abby Dinham, 10 News.
A gang of violent thieves is on the run in Melbourne after a string of robberies across the city's eastern suburbs. Police say the group, armed with a machete and a crowbar, raided stores including a supermarket at Wonga Park and also at Chelsea Heights. A man who tried to stop them was assaulted and treated for minor injuries. The group stole a cash register. Victoria Police are facing mounting criticism over their response to rising youth crime after the fatal stabbing of 2 teenage boys in Melbourne. The 12-year-old and 15-year-old boys were ambushed and killed while walking home from a basketball game in Cobblebank.
I'm talking in front of the camera right now. On behalf of my community, this is happening to us. We buried in this 2 weeks, this month, 4 kids.
Police investigating if the attacks were a case of mistaken identity while hunting up to 8 suspected murderers, their families pleading for answers from authorities.
sporting event as masked men gate-crash Rugby League's Harmony Cup in Broadmeadows. Frightened children were among the spectators caught in the mayhem.
Terrorising families with a very Victorian weapon. Two hooded thugs, one waving a machete, run through a crowd at Seabrook Reserve in Broadmeadows around 9 last night.
Walking around with a machete and then chasing each other.
A lot of people were scared, everyone was running around. All the little kids were trying to find their mums and dads, and yeah, everyone was like, oh, like, come, let's go, let's run.
Well, it's understood the fight started in the car park before moving into Broadmeadows Central, and that's where workers and shoppers were confronted by scenes of these two groups facing off. Vision captured by people at the shopping centre shows people taking swipes at each other with what appear to be machetes. Retail workers have told us they had to pull the shutters down at their shops to protect themselves and their terrified customers. Now, police said the groups left the centre in separate cars before officers arrived at the scene. There haven't been...
7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good afternoon. There are new questions over the mental health system in Sydney after 2 patients allegedly killed 3 people over the past week. A review is underway into how 2 people escaped from care in Cumberland Hospital in Western Sydney. Andrew Denny reports.
All staffing and security arrangements here at Cumberland Hospital are firmly in the spotlight after news that 2 men who were mental health patients here absconded within 24 hours of each other before allegedly going on separate rampages that have left 3 people dead and 2 others in hospital. The first was a dangerous car chase where 31-year-old Luke Francis is accused of stealing a vehicle, then crashing it into another car at Camden, leaving 2 women dead. Then the second escapee, Setefano Leotoa, is accused of carrying out a frenzied random stabbing attack at Marylands on Tuesday.
We are seeing the absolute worst case scenario play out here in Western Sydney, where you have 2 people who clearly need to be in mental health care out in the community, and innocent victims are paying the price.
Biologique, il y a plus que les tempêtes organisées par les champs électromagnétiques, il y a également la pollution que nous mettrons dans le sang et dans les veines de l'humanité en créant des infections, et ensuite de ça, ayant créé ces infections volontairement, on créera des lois qui obligera la population à se faire donner des vaccins, et dans ces vaccins, il y aura tout ce qu'il faut pour que vous puissiez être contrôlés. On introduira dans ces vaccins des cristaux liquides. Ces cristaux se logeront dans les cellules de votre cerveau et ils deviendront des micro-récepteurs à des champs électromagnétiques envoyés par des ondes ultrasoniques à très très basse fréquence. Et avec ces ondes à très basse fréquence, on pourra vous empêcher de penser. On pourra faire de vous des zombies. Et n'allez pas croire que je suis au stage où je pense, ou c'est l'hypothèse. Ce que je vous compte, c'est fait. Souvenez-vous du Rwanda.